So if you're ever curious to know what it would be like to watch something with a blend of 1950s segregation, sci-fi, and drama, well, this is probably the show for you. So Lovecraft Country is basically about a young man who came home from the war in Vietnam to his family in Chicago. And the reason he came home is because his dad's gone missing. The show actually begins with a really strange dream sequence that you don't know it's a dream sequence until he actually wakes up. It involves aliens, Roman soldiers, UFOs, giant flying octopuses, Jackie Robinson killing said octopus. I think he killed octopus. I don't know what that was, but it's strange. It's weird. But that's what the show is essentially about. A young man coming home from the war to try to find his missing dad. And really, you can break this episode into two halves. In the first half, him really coming home, being reacclimated with his family. He comes home to live with his uncle and his aunt. He comes home and he gets reacclimated with his friends that he grew up with. He comes home to Chicago. And the scary thing about all of this is, like I said, it's 1950s segregation, so the racial tension is real, and it's kind of scary actually how similar how some of the similarities you can see from that time period to now. I mean, not 100%, but you see some of the tendencies and the way that things used to be. And you can compare him to now in some aspects just from watching the show. So Tick's uncle, so his name is Atticus, they call him Tick. So he comes home to Chicago to live with his Uncle George and his aunt. So what Uncle George does is basically he creates these maps and routes for for colored people who are looking for safe passage, basically looking for a safe route to navigate safely around the United States. Because a lot of these towns it was dangerous. They could be dangerous for black people to go to a lot of these states and a lot of these counties. So he creates maps and routes for people to use so they can navigate safely. They have designated areas on the map where it's safe to go. Like say there's a diner somewhere in, I don't know, North Carolina. There's a diner. That diner will be marked on the map as a safe place for black people to go. There's something that they called Sundown counties, which I'm not even sure was a real thing. It could have been real, but basically what a sundown county was somewhere where if a black person was seen there after the sun went down, then they could be in danger of being killed by white people. So this actually gives Uncle George motivation to travel along with Tick to find his brother. Well, Tick's dad, Tick's Uncle George's brother. Uncle George already had a plan to go out traveling to create more routes for his map. So this was just an opportunity to basically kill two birds with one stone. Also along for the ride is Letitia, one of Tick's childhood friends. She's a wanderlust. She's a civil rights activist. She's an all-star track runner. You know how every family has a black sheep? She's actually like the black sheep of her family, as you can tell with interactions with her sister and her brother. And there's some tension there between them. You can see that she's been gone for a while. She comes and goes. She's kind of like a nomad almost, but for good reason. You can see she comes home to Chicago, and immediately you can tell that there's tension between her and her sister. She has some bad blood with her sister because she missed her mom. Letitia missed her mom's funeral. So Letitia asked her sister, if she could stay with her for a little while, get her back on her feet. Sister decides to let her stay for 2 nights. She has 2 nights and then she has to go. So now Letitia joins the gang. And she's with Tick and Uncle George, and they're going to travel across the country. So Letitia's sister tells her, you can go and stay with your brother Marvin. And Marvin is actually on the way to Tick and Uncle George's destination, and why not? They can just drop her off on the way, keep it moving. So there we have it. We have the gang, and that was all pretty much the first half of the show. Getting them all together and getting them started on this road trip. I think it did a good job of just setting up each character, giving you some of their backstory or motivation. And the second half is really where things start to pick up. So the gang heads out to Ardham, Massachusetts. And like I said, they're starting in Chicago. So they're in the Midwest traveling to the East Coast. And when I tell you that things get intense in the second half, they get intense. Like there's this one scene when the gang actually enters one of these sunset counties and they're pulled over by a police officer. And they actually caught wind of this police officer from when they stopped at Marvin's house, Letitia's brother. And to say the least, Letitia didn't end up staying with her brother because Marvin had some issues with her as well. They got into a big fight, so she decided to keep on going east with Uncle George and Tick. But anyway, like I was saying, they come across one of these sunset towns where the sheriff pulls them over, and the sheriff he explains to them what a sunset town is. He pulls them over and basically gives them, I believe, 7 minutes to cross the county line, or something bad is going to happen to them. So they pull off. He pulls out behind them. They're freaking out in the car, like, yo, go faster, go faster. And he's like, I can't go faster. He's going to pull me over. I think he has to go like 25 or something like that. And the time is going down, and it's just, the music is swelling, and it's just getting intense. And Uncle George it's intense. So they get out, they cross the county line, and they have with like 15 seconds to spare because the sun goes down at 7:09. So like I said, they cross the county line, but hey, surprise, surprise, the sheriff has called his buddies from the neighboring county, and they have like kind of like a blockade in front of them, blocking them off. So they do their whole thing. They get him out the car, take him into the woods. You know, they're insulting them. They have guns pointed at them. It's always kind of, you know, just shocking to see how much the country has changed, but in the same sense, it's kind of stayed the same in that regard anyway. So now these last like 20 minutes of the show is where it's just like, what? I don't even want to spoil what happens in these last like 20 minutes, but you can compare it to his dream sequence almost. And there's another underlying theme in this show. Lovecraft is actually an author who wrote, you know, horror sci-fi. And Tick, his uncle George, and his dad, they read a lot of books like that. And it seems like some of the mythical creatures from Lovecraft's novels have bled into reality somehow. And that's pretty much the underlying theme. Besides the racism, besides the segregation, besides, you know, black and white, it's this the sci-fi aspect of it all. It's like, what? But I liked it. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun time, and this is where you see Letitia's her high school track skills. The girl can run. The last 20 minutes was really intense. They reached their destination. But let me know what you guys thought about it, man. I'm looking forward to episode 2. I'll probably be talking about each episode. I'm not sure how many episodes it'll be. It'll probably be 8 to 10 range. I have no clue. But I'm really, you know, curious to see what happens from then. I hadn't seen any trailers for the show leading up to the first episode. The only time I really heard about it was from my cousin and a friend of mine. There's some other underlying details in the show that I didn't really get into. Like, there was this strange phone call he got from a woman. He, as in Tick, got from a woman in South Korea, and she like told him not to go there. You gotta see it. Like, it's weird. Like, just check it out. Check out the show. Let me know how you guys felt about it. I'll see you next time for episode 2.